जय कुंज बिहारी यशोदानंदन ब्रजन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रजन रंजन यमुना तीर वनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी यमुना तीर वनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी यशोदा नंदन जय ब्रजजन रंजन यमुना तीरवनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा गिरिधारी राधे जय राधा गिरिधारी राधे जय गिरि गोवर्धन जय गिरि गोवर्धन जय गिरि गोवर्धन जय गिरि गोवर्धन जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेव जय सुभद्रा जय गौरानिता जय गौरानिता जय गौरानिता जय गौरानिता जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव नित्य गौर हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरे कृष्णा Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
You can read, Prabhu. You can
okay, yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. We are reading from Prabhupada Lilamrita, chapter 22. Swami invites the hippies. Alan began playing his harmonium and chanting into the microphone, singing the tune he had brought from India. Gradually, more and more people in the audience caught on and began chanting. As the kirtana continued and the audience got increasingly enthusiastic, musicians from the various bands came on stage to join in. Ranchor, a fair drummer, began playing Morbi Grapes drums, and some of the bass and other guitar players joined as the devotees and a large group of hippies mounted the stage. The multicolored oil slicks pulsed and the balls bounced back and forth to the beat of the mantra, now projected into the wall. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. As the chanting spread throughout the hall, some of the hippies got to their feet, held hands, and danced. Ellen Ginsberg says, "We sang Hare Krishna all evening. It was absolutely great. An open thing. It was the height of the hate Ashbury's spiritual enthusiasm. It was the first time that there had been a music scene in San Francisco where everybody could be part of it and participate. Everybody could sing, dance, and rather than listen to other people sing and dance. Janaki, the people didn't know what they were chanting for, but to see what many people chanting, even though most of them were intoxicated, made Swamiji very happy. He loved to see the people chanting. Hayagrivo, standing in front of the bands, I could hardly hear, but above all, I could make out the chanting of Hare Krishna building steadily. On the wall behind, a slide projected a huge picture of Krishna in a golden helmet with a peacock feather, a flute in his hand. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tado Jayamudire Nashtaprayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamasloke Bhaktiravati Naistagi Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Namo Pangajanabhaya Namo Pangajamarine, Namo Pangajanetraya, Namaste Pangajangre, Vasudeva Paraveda, Vasudeva Paramaga, Vasudeva Parayoga, Vasudeva Parakriya, Vasudeva Paranyanam, Vasudeva Paratava, Vasudeva Paradharmo, Vasudeva Paragati. Thank you once again for giving me an opportunity to speak something on Srimad Bhagavatam. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 29, text number 2. The talks between Narada and King Prajina Parikshit. Text number 2. Narada uvacha Purusham Puranjanam Vidyat Yat Vyanakti Atmana Puram Ekdvitri Chatuspadam Bahupadam Apadagam. Narada uvacha Purusham Puranjanam Vidyat Yat Vyanakti Atmana Puraham Ekadvitri Chatuspadam Bahupadam Apadakam. Narada uvacha Purusham Puranjanam Vidyat Yat Vyanakti Atmana Puram Ekadvitri Chatuspadam Bahupadam Apadakam. Can anybody want to read?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I am reading.
Please, carry on.
Narada uvacha Purusham Puranjanam Vidyat Jad Benakti Atmanam Puram Eko Ditri Chatushpadam Bahupadam Apadakam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu.
Hare Krishna
Anyone else?
Prabhuji.
Please carry on.
Narada uvacha Purusham Puranjanam Vidyat Yad Vanyaktyatmanaha Puram Eka Dvi Tri Chatushpadam Bahupadam Apadakam.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. No one else? Okay, we can go to synonyms. Prabhu, can you read the synonyms, please? Synonyms and translation.
Surely, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Synonyms and translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Narada uvacha, Narada said, Purusham, the living entity, the enjoyer, Puranjanam, King Puranjana, with that one should know. Yat, inasmuch as. Vyanakti, he produces Atmana of himself, Puram, dwelling place, Eka, one, Di, two, three, and Chatu, Padam, with 4 legs, Bahupadam, with many legs, Apadakam, without legs.
Thank you.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. The great sage Narada Muni continued, you must understand that Puranjana, the living entity, transmigrates according to his own work into different types of bodies, which may be one-legged, two-legged, three-legged, four-legged, many-legged, or simply legless. Transmigrating into these various types of bodies, the living entity, as the so-called enjoyer, is known as Puranjana. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Anybody want to share the purport, please?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Please carry on, Mata.
Purport. How the spirit soul transmigrates from one type of body to another is nicely described here. The word ekapada, one-legged, refers to ghosts, for it is said that ghosts walk on one leg. The word divapada, meaning biped, refers to human beings. When he's old and invalid, the human being is supposed to be tripod or three-legged because he walks with the help of a stick or some kind of cane. Of course, the word chatuspada refers to quadrupeds or animals. The word bahupada refers to those creatures who have more than 4 legs. There are many insects such as the centipede and also many aquatic animals that have many legs. The word apadaka, meaning without legs, refers to serpents. The name Puranjana indicates one who enjoys possessing different types of bodies. His mentality for enjoyment in the material world is accommodated by different types of bodies.
Thank you very much. Once again, Narada Uvaja Purusham Puranjanam Vidyat Yad Vyanakti Atmana Puram Ek Dvi Tri Chatuspadam Bhagupadam Apatakam. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jananjana Salakaya Chachurudmilitam Mena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Tabidam Mena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Katamakyam Tatadi Swapadantikam Vandegam Sri Guru Sri Yuda Padakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavamja Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagagana Raghunathanvidam Tam Sajivam Sadvaidam Savadudam Parijana Sagitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalidam Sri Visakam Vitancha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpade Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namotudi Tapta Kanjana Gaurangi Radhe Brindavanishwari Rishabhanu Suri Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyacha Kriba Sindhubhyaevacha Pajidanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimade Bhakti Vedanta Swaminidhi Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prajarine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pachatya Deshadarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Welcome all. Another session of Srimad Bhagavatam. We are reading from Canto 4, chapter 29, text number 2.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, you are muted. Hare Krishna, Prabhu, you are muted.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Narada Vaja Purusham Puranjanam Vidya Yat Vyanakti Atmana Puram Ek Dvi Tri Chatuspadam Bhagupadam Apatakam. Hare Krishna. The talks between Narada and King Prajina Parikshit. We have been seeing that for the last 4 chapters, chapter number 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, Narada is explaining to King Prajina Parikshit regarding Puranjan and his character and the attack of Chandavega, and Puranjana becomes a woman in the next life. There are 4 chapters have been continuously, Narada has been advising King Prajina Parikshit. But in spite of the clear allegorical story, Puranjan of Puranjana, King Prajina Parikshit is unable to react positively to the counseling of Narada, which is evident from the last verse, the first verse of chapter 29. It says that King Prajina Parikshit replied, "My dear Lord, we could not appreciate completely the purport of your allegorical story of King Puranjana. Actually, those who are perfect in spiritual knowledge can understand, but for us who are overly attached to fruitive activities, to realize the purpose of your story is very difficult. So, in spite of a clear story given by Narada Muni, King Prajina Parikshit is unable to react positively to the counseling of Narada Muni. Therefore, Narada decided to give him more philosophical and psychological anchor in his talk, so that at least by hearing, King Prajina Parikshit will change his mind. That was the idea of Narada Muni. Narada Muni was questioning King Prajina Parikshit, do you want to continue this fruitive activity and evolve in this material world like 1 leg, 2 leg, 3 leg, 4 leg, and many leg, or legless creatures, one by one? And also telling him, don't get interested in the temporary gains of the material life and activities, because there cannot be any advancement if you continue with your fruitive activities, and it cannot solve the life's real purpose. It will not serve the life's real purpose. So we can also observe that from this chapter beginning, though King Prajina Parikshit has the knowledge to understand that what he did was wrong, but he has no realization. Whereas by knowledge, we'll get to know the nature of the reality, but by realization, we will experience how the information is real. So he has not come to that stage of realization. He still is gaining the knowledge, that's it. And he is not put into practice the knowledge for self-realization. Apart from this, see, instead of giving a negative thought to the King Prajina Parikshit's intention, we will just focus on the Narada's qualities in this chapter, because Narada is going to speak to Prajina Parikshit for another 80 verses. Throughout this chapter, another 80 verses, he is going to talk to Prajina Parikshit. This chapter especially brings the inherent qualities of the Narada Muni. But we have the habit, see, while most of us have the habit of focusing on the fault of others, whereas Narada Muni wanted to bring in the good qualities of King Prajina Parikshit. He is a good listener, but there is an active listener or passive listener, that is different thing. He is a good listener to Narada Muni. So he wants to bring in the good qualities of the Prajina Parikshit, so that he will help him in self-realization. We can see that Narada's care and concern for King Prajina Parikshit in this chapter. But when we harp upon the fault of others, they may go into defensive mode. And this will avoid them to bring in the good qualities that cannot bring the good qualities of others when we go into defensive mode. But whereas the Mahatma like Narada Muni can bring out all the good qualities in others. That's what we are going to see in this chapter. This purport refers to the The verses refers to the Ekapada, Dripada, Chadurpada, Bahupada, and Apadaka, which are simply explanation of how you want to evolve in this material world by Srila Vyasadeva, how they want to evolve in this material world. Because whether you have 1 leg, 2 leg, or 3 legs, or many legs, or 4 legs, it doesn't matter. The suffering is there in the material world. There is no difference. Maybe the degree may vary according to the time, place, and circumstances. But you have to suffer in this material world. That's what the verse says about it. Narada has become so compassionate towards King Prajina Parikshit, seeing his condition. There's a beautiful verse in Srimad Bhagavatam in I think in the fourth chapter, where the discussion between Dhruva Maharaj and Narada Muni, Gunadigan Mudam Lipset, it starts with that actually. Everyone should act in such a way when one meets one person who is more qualified, he should be pleased. The other person should be pleased to receive him. When he meets a person of equal stature or equal qualification, he should make friendship. And when he meets a person who is less qualified than him, he should be so compassionate towards him. That's what Narada Muni takes that attitude, showing compassionate towards King Prajina Parikshit. Narada was so compassionate. This situation can also be referred to, the same situation can refer to Narada Muni's talks with Dhruva Maharaj in the previous chapters of the 4th canto. When Dhruva Maharaj was very particular about taking the austerities to gain material opulence, Narada Muni advised him not to take this kind of severe activities, and he advised him to go back to the palace. But Dhruva was very reluctant to listen to Narada Muni's advice. A similar situation happens here. Prajina Parikshit, Dhruva Maharaj. So, after hearing the advice from Narada Muni, Dhruva Maharaj told Narada Muni, "So I am Sabo Bhagavato Sukha Dukkha Hadatmanam Darshidaha Kripaya Pumsan Durdasho Asmat Vidustuyah." So I am Samo Bhagavato. For a person whose heart is disturbed by material conditions of happiness and distress, your advice is very valuable. Dhruva Maharaj says to Narada Muni, for attainment of peace in the life. But as far as I am concerned, I am covered by ignorance, and your philosophy does not touch my heart. That's what Dhruva Maharaj says to Narada Muni. The same situation happens, you can see from the earlier first verse of this chapter, where King Parikshit replied, my dear Lord, we could not appreciate completely the purport of your allegorical story of King Puranjana. Actually, those who are perfect in spiritual knowledge can understand. But for us, who are overly attached by fruitive activities, to realize the purpose of your story is very difficult. The same situation happened for Dhruva Maharaj as well as for King Prajina Parikshit. Now, what happened to Dhruva Maharaj? It doesn't mean that Narada failed in his attempt. No, Narada was indirectly inducing to take up the austerities. So Dhruva Maharaj took the austerities of 6 months of tapasya. And because of Dhruva Maharaj, why he has to take such austerities? Because to obtain a material opulence, a position which is equal to Brahma or more than Lord Brahma. Madhus Patniga Vagbhanaya, because of the piercing words of his stepmother. Kritividastu Tansmaran. Naichan Mukti Pader Mukti Tasmat Tabam Ubeye. Though he has taken the austerities, when he meets Lord in person, he was so ashamed to ask for the material opulence. Dhrumaraj was so ashamed to ask for material opulence when he meets Lord Vishnu. The same situation happened in Prajina Parikshit. After hearing Narada Muni all the allegorical story, he was unable to react positively. React to the positively, that means he doesn't want to take up the spiritual path. That's why Narada Muni is coming very, very heavily on him through philosophical and psychological advice. For the next 70 or 80 verses, we are going to see that. At the end of this chapter, Prajina Parikshit will realize himself and take up the self-realization and go to Kapilasana. That's what's going to happen. But all this process, how Narada Muni approaches, advises him, that we are going to see for next 70, 80 verses. So, this Narada Muni's effort to turn King Prajina Parikshit into the right track can also be compared with Srila Prabhupada's effort to convert all American hippies into happies. At the time, thousands of young Americans were taking to drugs to go very high on spiritual. Srila Prabhupada did not decry because he did not want to decry them for being addicted to drugs, but compassionately he injected the spiritual spark in them. He lovingly asked them to chant. By chanting, you may stay high forever. And encouraged by his advices and guided by Srila Prabhupada, many of his followers have become, later on, internationally reputed spiritual leaders. That we are seeing that. They all become spiritual leaders after the advice of Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhupada's efforts can be compared to Narada Muni's effort to convert Prajina Parikshit into the right track. Like Prabhupada converted all the hippies into happies of America. When the contamination of the germs of a particular body or particular disease, it affects a body, it affects the weaker body. Similarly, the influence of the material nature affects the more weaker person. That's what's happening in the case of Prajina Parikshit. From the scriptures, we have also seen that Narada Muni's instruction to Dhruva Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, and the sons of Prajapati Daksha and King Mrigari and King Chitraketu. All these persons have taken the advice of Narada Muni and have achieved perfection in their life. King Prajina Parikshit will also take his advice and become perfect in his life later on. But he has to go through all this process. Narada Muni has to go through all the process of explaining in the allegorical story and the various characters which he has explained in this previous chapter. You can see that Puranjana, Puranjani, Chitra, Chandavega, Jwara, Kalakanya, then Malayadwaja, and so many characters he has explained to give him a details of what is happening, what is why fruitive activities will not take you to your destination. But in spite of a detailed explanation, he could not accept the facts of material. The Puranjana King Rajina Parikshit could not understand the real facts of the material. He was so hard-hearted. Chedo Darpanamacha, he has so much dust accumulated in his mind and was unable to lend a positive hearing to Narada Muni's advice at this juncture. Generally, people are very much interested in the fruitive activities which is sanctioned in the Vedas. The Vedas are divided into three categories. One is Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda, and Upasana Kanda. Mainly people are more to the Karma Kandiya. Most of the people are Karma Kandiya because Karma Kandiya means they will get benefits out of what they understand from the Vedas. They will get immediate benefit, like the worship of the demigods. But they will never go to Upasana Kanda, Jnana Kanda, and Upasana. Jnana Kanda is the path for self-realization, whereas Upasana Kanda is the practical application of how the love of God is achieved. You can see the Panjaratra Vidhi, that's a part of Upasana Kanda. So people will not touch that part of it, mainly Upasana Kanda and Jnana Kanda. They will stick contain with themselves with only with the Karma Kanda. Karma Kanda means they will get a lot of benefits, lot of material benefits, material opulences. So they will always content with the Karma Kanda. Traigunda Vishaya Vedam, Nishtarigunda Vishaya Arjuna. So the Vedas deals mainly with the material nature. And one should become transcendental to the material modes. Yam yam surfidam vacham. Pravandari abhivastadaha. That's also in second chapter. Lord says that in Bhagavad Gita. But men of small knowledge are very much interested in the fruitive activities of the Vedas. So, Prajina Parikshit is following the fruitive activities. Therefore, a sadhu like Narada is required to change King Prajina Parikshit. A sadhu like Narada behaves with all conditioned soul, not only Prajina Parikshit, with all conditioned soul, for ultimate relief from material entanglement. Therefore, no one can be more friendlier than a sadhu. No one has been able to adjust material condition, but life after life, generations after generations, people try repeatedly, fail, unless one is properly trained by a Mahatma. There is no possibility to one's understanding the devotional service to Krishna. Tidikshavaga, Karunika, Sukrita Sarvategina, Ajada Satruva Santaha, Sadhu, Sadhu Bhushana. One has to associate with a sadhu very often. That sadhu task is thankless job. He is a thankless job. One must be very tolerant, and he sees that people are suffering due to a lack of knowledge. He sees that people are suffering due to lack of knowledge. And he is always seeking the welfare of others. Other people are always, some people are enemies of him, but he has no enemy. He is always thinking of how to save others from the clutches of Maya. Whatever may be the reason, condition, he wants to save others from the clutches of Maya. So that is the characteristic of sadhu. To associate with sadhu is more important. Prajina Parishit is not taking full advantage of associating with sadhu. He may realize later on why it took so long for him to understand the association of sadhu and himself get self-realized. In the Bhagavad Gita 16th chapter, it says, Tasmat chatram pramanam te karya vyavastito jnatva sastra vido nuktam karma kartum iharhasi. 16th chapter, 24th verse, it says that. The meaning is that one should understand what is the duty and what is not the duty. Knowing such rules and regulations, one should act, and that may be gradually elevated him from the material position. If, however, he is able to be guided by a sadhu or a spiritual master, his life becomes so successful. If he is able to guide by a spiritual master or a sadhu, his life becomes so successful. Tasmat shastram pramanam te karya vyavastito jnatva shastra vido nuktam karma kartum iharhasi. That is 16th chapter, 24th verse. Lord says that. One should know what is the duty, what is not the duty. And also in Nectar of Devotion says that utsagat dairyas nichayat tatat karma pravartana sangatyaga sadovritti. Sadovritti means the following the footsteps of the great acharyas. That is more important. Sangatyaga, avoiding the association of the non-devotee, and tatkat karma pravartana, that is doing your regular duties, what is to be done, what is not to be done. One should understand what is the duty, what is not the duty. Therefore, when he does the duty, and what is the duty, what is not the duty, he does realize that whatever the gift, whatever the gain comes, yadrichya lava santusto dondadira samatsaraha samaha siddho asodaucha kartahuna nibhadyate. Whatever gain comes of its own accord, if he is an equipoised and he is not envious, even though he is performing his duty, he will never entangle. In the 4th chapter, Lord says that. Yadrichya lava santusto dondadira samatsaraha siddho samaha siddho asodaucha. Equipoised in whatever the gain or loss. He will never be entangled even though he is doing his duty. Despite hearing repeatedly from other sources, from other persons, we forget that we are the eternal servant of the Lord. That's what's happening for King Prajina Vaishya. To maintain this, we always considerably, it is essential that we have to recharge ourselves spiritually every now and then. That's why the association is more important. In this chapter, we will bring about the qualities of the Narada instead of focusing on the King Prajina Parishit's faults. That's what should be done. We don't want to focus on the Prajina Parishit's faults, but we want to focus on the qualities of the Narada, how he converts Prajina Parishit into a self-realized person. That's what is happening in this chapter. King Prajina Parishit was involved in the fruitive activities to gain more material opulence. He wanted more material opulences. I remember that in this, when when Muchukunda meets Lord, he's begging for Muchukunda is asking Lord for begging for the devotional service. The Lord replies to him that Apramataya Savidittas, he says that my sincere and unalloyed devotees is never attracted towards material belongings. My unalloyed devotees are never attracted towards material belongings. It means that material belongings is not the qualification to improve your devotional service. The same can be heard from the Lord says to Yudhishthira Maharaj in the 11th canto. I don't remember the exact verse. He says that Tasyaham anugrahanami harishe taddanam sanehi. When I want a person to be more attracted towards me, I will take away all his material opulences, Lord says to Yudhishthira Maharaj. Tasyaham anugrahanami harishe taddanam sanehi tado ajanam chadadyasya tejadyasya sojano dukkha dukkina. I will take his all material opulences so that he will be attached to me, he will be attracted to me. That is the condition of the devotional service. That is the condition of the devotional service. That is the progress of the devotional service when less and less material opulences and more spiritual opulences you will get. So when we associate with sadhus, we will understand the importance of how it is always important to progress in the life in spiritual way than the material, getting material opulences. This is so simple. There are two aspects, material and spiritual aspect. Which you want to take it up for self-realization? It is a spiritual path. We want to take it up. That's what we are going to see throughout this chapter. And Narada is advising King Prajina Parishit every now and then. Now, not with allegorical story, with the real purpose of the material life. Real purpose of the material. What are the problems of the material life? How we can progress in the material life? How we can take up the self-realization path? That's what Narada Muni is going to explain to King Prajina. That's what we are going to see in all the verses till the end of this chapter. And at the end of this chapter, Prajina Parishit will realize himself and take up the spiritual path and go to Kapilashram. Thank you very much for giving an opportunity again. Anybody has any question or comments on this?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavot Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandavot Pranam.
Thank you so much for explaining the text. It looks very simple, but it's not like that. However, you explained it so deeply and
Thank you.
characterized the real purpose of Narad Muni into this chapter. How is advising, is trying to start the advising Prachin Varishad. And we can see this Narad Muni's real character as a preacher. He has just floated himself as the real spiritual master or real uh, well-wisher, how he
Yeah.
can convert a materialistic person to a real goal of life, which is the spiritual qualities. And you explained with examples of, we have seen so many Maharajas, Dhruva Maharaj, then Prahlad Maharaj. So all of them have taken advice from Narad Muni, and ultimately they achieve their destination. So here Narad Muni is trying to assert us how this uh, material life entangles each and every living entity, and how it can help the materialistic person to come out of this stage. So he started advising Prachin Varishad his previous life, how he was so engrossed in the materialistic way. And there also he has started the allegorically to make him understand. But somehow time has passed, and now this is the second chance he could make him understand, the showing the real picture of the at the backflash, so that he can realize what is actually happened to him. So, as a guru or spiritual master, the duty we can see how they take so much pain to convert the living entity to come out from this complexities of materialistic way to a real goal of life, which is the spiritual life. And the efforts taken by Narad Muni is so fantastic or so exhaustive. He is trying to help us and making us understand how the life changes by the association of a pure devotee. And we will be seeing throughout this chapter, right from 85 texts and two extra texts, that all indicates how the life can be changed by the association of a pure devotee. So the importance is, the association of a pure devotee is so important for a unrealized soul to come to the stage, understanding of the realized soul, and to become a real spiritualized um, entity in the later end of his life. Thank you so much. How
Hare
you
Krishna.
have explained this from different references of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam to make us really understand the importance of association. Once again, thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Anyone else? Any comments? Any additions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam, Hare Krishna.
Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you very
Dandavat
much
Pranam.
for bringing out the points that material activities, whatever way we do and whatever I do, will never help us to get rid of the cycle of repeated birth and death, the four problems of life, and the need for association of a sadhu to get rid of that, to overcome our real problems. We must approach a sadhu or who does the selfless, thankless job of helping us at every moment, because they are compassionate and because of their compassion for the living being, they do this job. And when we associate with them, only by their association, we can get rid of our attachment from the material things, and for the family, for the self enjoyment and extended self enjoyment. And there is a verse which says that which says that when an attachment that we have for the material things we attach it to the sadhu, then we become free from the attachment of the material things, and we can find the real way for going back to our to the Godhead, and that is our real home. So thank you very much for bringing that point in a very natural and very clear way, and thank you for bringing the overall direction of the whole verse, whole chapter, where this process is being highlighted, that for elevate from material life to the spiritual life, we have to associate with sadhus, and with their help only we can get rid of our material difficulties. And you have given the example of Prabhupada and also that of Narad Muni comparison, very nice way. Thank you for that. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much for the comments and the additions. Thank you very much. Anyone else?
It appears, Prabhu, there is no other person to make.
No more comments. Okay, we'll stop here.
Ah.
Vancha
Kalpatarubhyascha.
Patitanam Pavanebhyo
Namo Namo Ananta
Ananta
Koti
Koti Vaishnava Vrinda
His
His Grace Vaikunteswara Prabhu ki jai.
Thank you very much. Thank you once again. Thank you.
All
Hare
bliss to that multiple. Hare